Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever felt like you're just constantly being pulled in two completely different directions? Like, on one side, there's this heavy, demanding need to take physical action in the real world, and on the other, there's this deep, internal desire to seek out unseen wisdom. Well, today, we're exploring an incredibly fascinating explainer that decodes a hidden cosmic blueprint governing those exact two forces. We're going to look at a highly unique physics-based reading of the source texts, specifically mapping out the topological journey of two iconic figures, Dawood and Suleiman.
I will not cease until I reach the junction of the two seas. This profound declaration from Surah 18, verse 60, literally sets up the core mystery of our entire journey today. What exactly is this junction? Well, the source material we're looking at suggests this isn't just some physical location on a map. Instead, it's a precise, destined collision point where raw physical action and deep, unseen wisdom absolutely must meet face to face.
To really grasp this, we first need to define what topology means in the context of our sources. We're talking about a hidden cosmic geometry of the universe. It's this underlying framework where physical reality and divine truth actively negotiate with one another. Think of it like a massive sacred blueprint, where earthly roots somehow have to find a balance with cosmic beauty. This explainer is going to decode this physics-based analogy for us, showing exactly how our own human struggles map directly onto these universal laws.
Part 1. The surface, Dawood and the ship. Let's see how this builds.
Our journey starts right on the surface. We're entering the domain of visible power, with the sources called the D10 field. Now, in this topological framework, D10 represents the rigid material world. It's the realm of action, visible power, and what's known as the 3n+1 expansion. That's basically a mathematical way of representing the human drive for material accumulation and constant growth. This is the earthly domain where we operate our ship. And that ship, it represents our physical vessel, our everyday actions, the structures we build, and our tangible momentum out there in the world.
And Prophet Dawood perfectly embodies this D10 surface. He is the ship. He's given mastery over iron, literally the ultimate heavy material element, and he weaves it into chainmail, creating a structure of distributed, visible strength. But this realm comes with a very specific challenge, the test of accumulation. Dawood's famous judgment between the man with 99 U's and the man with just 1 U perfectly illustrates the heavy momentum and the sheer bias of the D10 material world. It really highlights the trap of material possession.
Part 2. The depths, Suleiman and the fish.
But a ship on the surface is really only half of the story. Now we've got to shift our focus from the visible structures up top down into the unseen depths. We're moving to the exact opposite side of this cosmic framework, into what's called the I9 field. If D10 was the rigid Earth, I9 is the fluid, infinite space of the unseen. It's the realm of pure knowledge, deep reflection, which is mathematically symbolized by the N/2 reflection and total surrender to the divine. We're talking about a realm of cosmic stars and deep waters, which is a massive contrast to the heavy, structured iron of the material world above.
And here, Prophet Suleiman represents these I9 depths. He's the fluid fish, moving freely through this infinite space. Suleiman operates in pure knowledge and the unseen. But his test is entirely different from Dawood's. Suleiman faces the test of the lifeless body cast upon his throne, an intense event detailed in Surah 38. This startling moment forces him to recognize the total illusion of material power. He sacrifices worldly pride, realizing that a kingdom without a spirit is just an empty, hollow shell. Right here, wisdom totally conquers the illusion of control. And this brilliantly illustrates the core tension we're talking about. On one side, we have Dawood, the ship, operating on the D10 surface. It's all about action, iron, and expansion. Then, on the exact opposite side, we have Suleiman, the fish, operating in the I9 depths, dealing entirely in wisdom, the unseen, and reflection. It is literally the ultimate metaphor of action versus wisdom.
Part 3. The T3 junction of the two seas.
So, we have these two massive opposing forces, right? The structured, ironclad ship of action and the fluid, unseen fish of wisdom. What on earth happens when they inevitably crash into each other? Well, according to the mathematical mapping from the source material, they hit a highly specific coordinate, 103. Now, what's really interesting is that 103 isn't just some random number. It's the exact zero crossing point in this universal circuit. It's the precise collision point where the ship and the fish actually meet face to face.
Let's break down what 103 actually represents. In this framework, it's the test of Sabr, which means patience under immense pressure. It aligns with Oz, or time itself, acting as a neutral commutator. So 103 is this intense pressure point where the ship of D10 and the fish of I9 finally intersect. It's the exact space where the soul is tested under the intense compression of both physical reality and divine truth actively trying to negotiate their manifestation.
Which brings us right back to our opening quote. This pressure point is the barzakh, the boundary described in Surah 18. The barzakh is where the two seas of action and wisdom collide, but they're separated by a barrier they absolutely cannot transgress. This boundary demands something incredibly difficult from us. It requires us to hold both registers at the exact same time. We literally have to balance action and wisdom without letting one completely obliterate the other.
Part 4. The universal waveform. Now this interaction, this constant, intense balancing act at the boundary, it doesn't just create chaos. It actually creates a highly predictable cosmic rhythm. Think of it kind of like a universal AC waveform. Grounding this esoteric math into a sequence, the system breathes in a very specific way. We start at the positive peak, represented by 108. That's the flow of abundance and the descent into the material world. Then this flow hits the zero crossing at 103. That neutral time pressure, the intense test of Sabr we just talked about. And finally, it pushes through to the negative peak at 110, which represents victory, light, and the ascent back up.
So the crucial point here is how these numbers translate into actual universal motion. Step 1 is time at 103, oscillation exists, the test is active. Step 2 is flow at 108, is sustained continuous abundance. Step 3 is victory at 110, the system stabilizes into order right after the test. And step 4 is unity at 112, convergence into a singular, perfect equilibrium. The sources are essentially arguing that every single orbiting body in the universe, and honestly every human soul, executes this exact four-step cycle.
Part 5. Forging the perfect vessel.
Okay, let's bring all of these abstract, physics-based analogies back down to Earth for a second. What does all of this actually mean for us on a practical level? Ultimately, it's all about forging the perfect vessel to navigate our own lives. The core lesson here boils down to this one singular truth. Action without wisdom is a burden. It's just heavy iron, a ship aimlessly accumulating cargo until it literally sinks under its own weight. But on the flip side, wisdom without action has no vessel. It's a fish out of water, profound, sure, but entirely unable to manifest or protect itself in the physical world. We desperately need both Dawood's structured ship and Suleiman's fluid fish if we're going to survive the junction of the two seas.
We absolutely need the structure to survive, but we need the wisdom to know where we're actually going. Action without wisdom is a burden. Wisdom without action has no vessel. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Armed with this knowledge, how are you going to navigate the junction of the two seas in your own life? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and keep seeking that balance.